Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
Tremendously interesting item coming to us from Jerusalem. The Temple Institute wants to offer the biblical Passover sacrifice on the Temple Mount this year. The Temple Mount Institute has filed suit in its fight for the right to sacrifice a sheep on the Temple Mount prior to Passover as commanded in the Torah. The word Torah is another word for the 5 books of law given unto the Jewish people by Moses. The command to perform a Paschal Passover sacrifice is a positive commandment. The punishment for failing to perform it is to be cut off, meaning that a person is cut off from the nation of Israel. And it can be performed only on the day before Passover. That was called Preparation Day in the Scriptures, and only on the Temple Mount. Now, it's interesting that that's the very day that Jesus Christ was crucified. He was crucified on Preparation Day because he was the Lamb of God that was to take away the sins of the world. So it all worked out perfectly according to the pattern given to the Jewish people in the Old Testament. Fighting the group's request to perform this sacrifice, they're making their petition to the Israeli Supreme Court, is the Israeli police, who argue that the sacrifice would lead to Muslim riots and thus threaten public safety. However, Jews have the right to offer animal sacrifices on the Temple Mount under Israeli law, the organization claims. Israelis are guaranteed the right to freedom of worship, and Israel prides itself in allowing the members of all faiths to access their holy sites. And, of course, Israel has done that by allowing the Muslims to return to the Temple Mount after the Temple Mount was conquered by the 1967 war. In previous years, the court has ruled that the right to freedom of worship is outweighed by the consideration of public safety and has forbidden the Passover sacrifice. The Temple Mount Institute also took the opportunity to take the police to task for barring Jews and Christians from the Temple Mount following Muslim riots. The Israeli police is giving rioters a prize, a reward, and encouraging them to hold violent riots and disturb the peace on the one hand, and is discriminating against Jews and members of other faiths and trampling their human rights, the right to freedom of movement and freedom of worship on the other, the organization accused. The Institute asked the court to order police to explain why Jews are barred from the Mount when Muslims riot. It's a good question. One sect misbehaves and you punish the other one. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Now, we're seeing the continual push toward the prophesied rebuilding of the temple on the Temple Mount. It's been little by little by little. Back in 2000, Jews, as a matter of fact, non-Muslims, were not allowed to go onto the Temple Mount. Then they started opening it up little by little, and finally Jews and Christians and any others that wanted to go there to visit were allowed certain hours of the day. Well, this past year of 2009, more Jews have visited the Temple Mount than have ever visited it all the way back to 70 AD. So it's very interesting to see what's happening here. There's a continual push toward the day when Israel will, in fact, be able to worship on the Temple Mount and to build her third temple there. That's what's going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. To watch this progression and to know the prophecies of the Bible specifically tell us that there will be a temple built on the Temple Mount. It's so interesting to watch these steps being taken as the religious Jews of Israel continue to push toward the time when they will be able to build their temple on the Temple Mount. It's not very far ahead. Benjamin Netanyahu is in Israel, or is in Washington, D.C. today, speaking with Barack Obama tomorrow. And among other things, they will be discussing Jerusalem, and they will be discussing the Temple Mount. We live in biblical days.